Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Daily AI Show Live. Appreciate you being here. Today is December 11th. It's Thursday. We appreciate y'all being here. We're Beth, Andy, and I'm Brian, and we're here to kind of hang out on Thursday. And as you can see, I got the lights in the background here as we're sort of moving towards the end of the year and into the holiday season and stuff. But there is always more going on in the world of AI, and typically in December it tends to speed up. I think we're kind of holding pace right now. If I was to give it a grade in as we get closer to mid-December here, I haven't seen anything crazy come out. A lot of people are still waiting to see if we see whatever the future of 5.2 is going to be. Although I did see something yesterday that talked about the new image model that OpenAI perhaps has come out that has codenamed Chestnut or Hazelnut, I want to say. And then Meta has now got something they're all in on called Avocado. So if there's any news for today, it's that we are obviously clearly moving from the phase of everything being named about something in space, and now we're moving to food. So 2026, my early prediction is in 2026, everything will have a dumb food name to it for AI. Every new something will have a code name that'll be a food or a fruit or something like that. So we'll see if that comes true or not. Hey, let's get into it and the news of the day. Beth, what do you got for the first news story for you?
All right. First news story for me is data centers in space, because we have been anticipating this and talking about it. And it has now happened. Startup raises $16 million to accelerate a frontier idea, putting data centers in space to solve Earth's power cooling crisis. So what we know, the traditional model is hitting a wall, and I thought when I first read this that it had already launched. It may not have launched. No, StarCloud. Yes. Last paragraph. Here we go, Beth. Launched the satellite with an NVIDIA H100 GPU in November and recently trained the first LLM in space. Blue Origin, Starlink, and Google are already making moves in this direction as well. But we have proof of concept that it is possible to launch, it is possible to power, it is possible to train an LLM. So, Andy, did you see that?
Didn't we joke about this in like on the show like months ago? And we're like, they're going to put data centers in space because we were talking about them being underwater. They've tried that for cooling. Actually, I'm going to add Carl right now because they talked about it being all over Canada and, cooler environments for cooling of data centers. And then we joked about they were going to be in space. And now it's like a legit thing.
It's totally happened. And what we were talking about was cooling, but also, the sun doesn't turn off in space. So you could power it. You could power it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I talked about this briefly, I think yesterday while you guys weren't here. Okay. And that specifically Google, Amazon, and XAI are all racing to deploy space-based AI systems. And we don't mean just the power source for the AI system, but literally putting the data center up in space, which China has already done. Chinese firms have already launched an operational space AI system, which is a 12 satellite constellation that has built into it an 8 billion parameter AI model. And it also, they have plans for a megawatt scale orbital data center by 2035. Now that's 10 years away, but megawatt scale means that would exceed China's ground-based capacity now. So big data center in space coming to, some sky near you.
And, I want to point this out because I would have never thought about this either until I read, it could have been like Neil deGrasse Tyson or it could have been somebody else. I think I mentioned on this show that contrary to what may sound, I will say for me, what sounds like obvious is the idea of, it's space, it'll keep things cool. But because of lack of air, it's actually the problem is keeping things cool. It's the reverse of what you might think. It's that it traps heat and the heat has no way to dissipate. So when I hear about these data centers in space, yes, from the solar power side of it and what they might be able to do by harnessing the sun's energy and turning that in, making that energy. But I wonder how they're going to dissipate heat, because it wasn't that long ago, honestly. I mean, it was like within the last year, I learned that that's really what the actual problem is in space, is not that you would like freeze to death. It's that you would heat up to an uncontrollable heat because of dissipation and things like that. And I thought, oh, geez, my brain never went there. So
space is very cold. So as long as you have a machine that has one side of it facing the sun and the other side of it not heating by the sun, you have a temperature differential there that can accomplish, cooling. It's not evaporative. It's not radiative. But there is a way, to just flow heat out into the space side of it, and that there's plenty of cold there. Really, really cold.
So the company that has done this is StarCloud, and they are saying that 24/7 solar energy and radiative cooling. So there must be some aspect that can be radiative, rapidly deploying to gigawatt scale, avoiding permitting constraints on Earth. And it's actually also talking about taking advantage of the fact that the cost of launching a satellite or launching something in space has also come down pretty far. So,
by the way, we have people at space stations, right? And they've clearly been able to make that a livable environment for humans. So I understand there's technology that must exist because, well, we have humans that have lived for over a year at one time in space and done that for decades now. So understood. And I understand what you're saying. It's, Andy, like it's on the moon, you go into the shadow versus going to the sun, and the temperature differential there. I just thought, like we talk a lot about needing to be able to cool data centers.
But you're absolutely right that heat dissipation, getting the heat from the hot chip to the cold space.
Right.
That's the part. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and maybe that's running cooled. It's running coolant along the walls, right? And it's because that's the part that's not facing the sun.
Find a coolant that won't freeze while it's transiting
right,
space side. Yeah.
Yeah. So not an obvious thing. Obviously, there's a lot of technology into this as well, but it'd be interesting to see if this becomes somebody considers this
deep dive on how are they designing these space-based systems to actually go. And to your point, how do the space stations today accomplish air conditioning, HVAC in space?
And also because NASA is a government agency, there are a lot of technologies that come out of NASA that then are available to use in other industries. Like we painted our walls with a paint that had like a NASA radiated, a NASA like teeny tiny ceramic balls that helped keep the heat in and not lose as much heat through your external walls.
Okay.
Like those kinds of things, like what NASA discovers stuff and then people can use it. So I'm curious, Andy, about what NASA's discovered about passing liquid or some sort of coolant gel without freezing it. So awesome. That's my big exciting news story.
Wanted to say welcome to Carl again, because Carl, you joined us. We've only really just talked about this news story. I have one really brief one here. I think it came out of one of the, let me just give credit real quick. Ben's Bites is where I read this. And this is put this in the category of why didn't I think about this? Like, it's not that I would have built a product or whatever, but here it is. Shopify launches a SimJammer, like gym, like GYM gym. Digital customers that behave like real ones. They browse your site, complete tasks, and reveal optimization spots. You can even run A/B tests with zero live traffic. It's part of their winter launch with more AI features. That's such an obvious good answer to like, why wouldn't you want to do that if you're running a website, especially if you're going through Shopify and you're trying to sell things? One of the things people want is like, the secret shopper, the more data. What are people doing? When are they not? When are they abandoning the cart or whatever? And I just never occurred to me that an easy-ish solution with AI is to essentially create AI shoppers that go off and, sort of with the free will of how you can set up AI, bounce around your site like real people do and abandon carts and stuff like that, and how that could very, very easily lead to data and improvements to your site about how things are labeled, colored, fonts, sizing, scrolling, hidden pop-up messages that they can't get around, on and on and on, that people do to optimize their sites. I would imagine it also will eventually help to things like I'm going to say it wrong. Generative engine optimization. Is that right? GEO.
Yeah. So Spotify specifically addresses that in this drop. They did a major drop of a bunch of new AI forward features for the Shopify network of stores.
Like 150.
Yeah, it's incredible. But they specifically address that one, and that is what they call agentic storefronts. So if you have a Shopify store as a merchant, you can now set up once so that your products appear in ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, and Perplexity. One integration puts them in across all of those. So tremendous advantages that are accruing to the people who made decisions to use the Shopify platform for that. And I'll give you a couple other examples. One of them is that Shopify is now exposing the entire catalog of all the products across all the stores that use Shopify storefronts. So if you want to develop an affiliate program, that's going to represent a huge thing like your mini Amazon, then a developer can access millions of products with one integration across all of the Shopify stores. Now, of course, the stores are going to have to, I guess, click a toggle in the Shopify interface saying, yeah, I allow my products to be exposed to this platform that's doing this integration using the catalog API from Shopify. And then the other thing is that it was very interesting to me. And just as background, I was involved in e-commerce for a long time. A large part of my career was e-commerce. And when I went to LifeAid, I used the team that I had been working with using Magento, not Shopify. Shopify was just nascent at the time. But we used Magento, which is owned by Adobe, but was previously built by eBay to provide storefronts to eBay sellers. So it's a very competent platform, but doesn't have all of these AI capabilities that the visionary CEO of Shopify, if you remember, back just not so long ago, Shopify made news because he told all of his employees that they needed to be using AI in their daily work. Okay, and that's it's pretty obvious now, but I mean that was a very smart thing to say. They've really moved forward on that. And I'm going to mention this other one, Sidekick, which is the Shopify AI assistant on the coding side. So one of the friction points of I wanted to move to Shopify for one main reason, which is Shop Pay. So you've probably, if you've ever, logged into a Shopify store, you've added a credit card to that. Well, now any other Shopify store that you ever run across, it offers Shop Pay. You click that, it sends you a code, and all your information is already in there. You don't have to check out anymore. That's a real convenience for shoppers. So Shopify gives that sort of reduction of friction to all of their network of stores. Well, now the last remaining pain point for somebody who's working on Magento and wants to move to Shopify was, damn, it's like $250 an hour for a Shopify, coder to make any kind of changes to your Shopify site. Mm-hmm. Right now, they're making it easier and easier. But Sidekick is their coding system. It's the assistant to the store owner. It'll generate custom new apps. You can throw up a Black Friday application onto your store. It can build automations in the back end, the admin side of your thing. And more importantly, if you want to make a simple change to the storefront presentation on any page, you do it conversationally now in Shopify Sidekick. I want this all to switch to holiday colors. Give us, holly and Santas and everything else, and it'll generate that for you. So Shopify's killing it, in my view, in the e-commerce space.
Yeah. And then, by the way, I just saw a very similar thing to that, what you just said about conversationally with anti-gravity by Google, which I haven't personally played with, but I watched a demo on it. And one of the cool things about that is, unlike other tools, it brings up its own basically Chrome window, and you can discuss with what you're seeing, a la, let's say, building a website or some sort of application, and what you're seeing. And now with Gemini and be able to take commands, like multiple commands at once, and sort them and figure out what the priority order is or whatever, you can now do that. So like up to this point, at least anything I've done with Lovable or whatever, it's like, yes, you get the preview and you can say, oh, I don't particularly like the way this looks or that or whatever. But now with what I saw with anti-gravity, maybe one of the future here is that you're sort of not only looking at the preview, but you're looking at a live site, and now you could just have a conversation as you're moving around that site, and anti-gravity is able to sort of vacuum up all of that content and then go about making corrections to the site in a more live way. Sounded very cool to me. I watched one TikTok on it. I haven't obviously touched it. Carl, yeah, you can say something on it?
No, I used it. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I've used it. I just get rate limit. I can't I cannot use it on a I can't use Gemini with it, 3 with it. Like if I want to actually do something comprehensive, I keep getting limited on it. So, and I don't want to pay the pro, because it's like double what Claude is, significantly. So I was like, and it doesn't matter. Like in Claude Code, I can pretty much do everything there, and I can connect to the Gemini API anyway. So,
yeah. I mean, to be fair, I did read another comment saying that I can't remember what her name is on TikTok. It's somebody we know. I just can't think of who it was. It wasn't Allie. It was somebody else. But anyway, she was saying that in her opinion, like anti-gravity wasn't this big, amazing thing, and that limitations. Who was it?
Sabrina Romanoff.
Sabrina, that's right. Yeah. And she was basically saying that like it just wasn't, it was fine, but like let's not give it a shiny new star. It wasn't, because of the limitations on how much you could use it before you run into, blocks and things like that, that it wasn't really the tool. Again, obviously, Carl, you'd be able to talk to it more, or maybe one of the other of you guys have used it. I haven't touched it, but I was just what I saw. Not even what I meant to bring up as far as the news. It was just in relationship to what you were talking about, Andy, with Shopify, and that sort of speak to the website. What my point was, speak to the website to make the changes. And that is huge, right? Because that takes away another layer. You're talking about the payment layer, which made me think of Link. I don't know if you guys have ever gotten, I don't even know how I got access. Like at some point I did not click off a checkbox somewhere, and now I get Link text messages all the time. I'm like, I do not want you, but obviously somewhere along the way I have opted into Link, which sounds like the shop pay, like you were just saying, Andy, but it is, that extra layer of convenience. So very, very cool.
I had that same Link thought, because I was like, oh yeah, apparently I'm doing this all over the web as well. Okay.
Yeah.
But I feel like the anti-gravity and using Google 3 Pro conversation comes back to something that I think both Carl and Brian, you've talked about in the past. Like Gemini 3 Pro may be the best, but you haven't convinced me that not using it makes my experience really like that I've lost something. There's not a difference. There's not a significant difference right now between the best and the next best. That means that it's worth the extra money. It's worth changing everything. Like, very good is good enough, right? Like almost the best is really good.
Yeah. So
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I am using anti-gravity at the moment, but I'm still at the early stages where I'm basically working on product design and feature function selection and, planning for the coding exercise. And I haven't run into limits, and I don't have the pro thing. But simultaneously, I'm intending to do what I think everybody else should do in respect of your comment, Beth, which is don't just settle on one. Yeah. Use them all. right? It's so easy and fast. Even once you've developed some documentation for your project in one of them, just plunk it over to the other one and say, go. And critique this one. And then let's build there too. And I'm going to end up, I hope, with Lovable using Claude Opus 4.5, because they have actually implemented that now. Doing the same project as Anti-Gravity is doing. And then on top of that, Claude Code in Cursor doing the same project. So I'm setting up the framework for doing the same project across 3 different platforms to see what really works and what doesn't.
McKay Wrigley posted about this on X. I don't know that he's using 3 different platforms, but he said coding right now is so much faster than previously. He is iterating on 3 versions of his idea.
Yeah.
Right? Like, do 3.
Yeah.
Impress me in an hour and a half, right? Like, it's so different.
Why stop at 1? Yeah. If you can go down 3 paths at one time. I mean, even in not in that level, at that scale, but it's funny you say that. When I work on the conundrums, when I work on the jokes, I was just talking to Beth about what the comic will be for this week's newsletter. Anyway, as I work through ideas and concepts and stuff like that, it really is going down multiple paths at once. I very rarely now singularly look at one concept or idea. Oftentimes I'll say, give me 5, expand on 2 and 4, expand on 1, and it's just this sort of, funnel that's coming down to this idea. But to your point, it's so fast. It's same thing with images. We were just talking about that, about not a banana Flash, Flash and Pro Flash, I guess it is. I may be saying that wrong, but regardless, the idea that at some point the latency and the cost go to so low that the real answer is just make me 100 images. I'll figure it out. And there's no reason not to do that anymore. It's like, just do that because it'll be faster for me to pull the images I want, or, maybe it's like, give me 100 images, but do it from 17 different angles of this object or person or whatever it is you're trying to do. So, anyway, more on that. Okay. Let's go. Carl, did you have a news story you wanted to share?
I do. So it's today's December 11th.
Yep.
So it was just announced today. So Walt Disney and OpenAI reached landmark agreement to bring characters across Disney brand to Sora. So you can literally bring, you can create Pixar, you can create Marvel, you can create Disney and Sora, and away you go. So I thought that was a pretty cool announcement this morning. So that is, you'll be using Sora for everything, for creating like whatever thing you wanted to create. And can you imagine using, I don't know how the licensing works, like using a Disney character for your brand with your, like, take your president interacting with, I don't know, what's a beloved Pixar character, whatever, or your,
Woody.
Sure.
Here.
I was like, forget that. Imagine Magneto and your brand talking about whatever you do. I thought that would be amazing, right? So I thought that was kind of neat. And I don't know how that applies, because if you're using Sora, if you're using it for your business, does that still count? I don't know, but if you
imagine
Sora, but I thought it was going to meet to see that though.
Wow. Like, that is a magic trick, right? Like, Disney is the company that you don't use their IP because they don't care who you are. They will sue you until you stop, right?
Or
well, you're not using. I mean, if the intent is, and I am sure it's going to be in the language, the legality of it, but the legalese, that this is only intended to be used on the Sora platform, and you have no rights to use creations outside the platform. Will people? Will they put it on TikTok? Will they put it other places? Of course they will. And Disney must know that, clearly. But I would imagine in terms of what you're able to do, wow, what are the guardrails around this so that you don't have beloved Disney characters doing drugs or doing dangerous things? Or wow, does that
wiki and mini porn?
Like, yeah, like what? Where's the
I didn't go there, but
somebody is, and he's played somebody is.
No, sorry. In the article it reads 3-year licensing agreement, generate short, user-prompted social videos viewed, shared by fans, drawings on more than 200 Disney, Marvel, Pixar, Star Wars characters. Blah, 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 blah. We'll make agreement will make a selection of these fan-inspired Sora short-form videos available to stream on Disney+. Disney and OpenAI affirm a shared commitment to responsible use of AI that protects safety of users and rights of creators. Alongside the licensing agreement, Disney will become a major customer of OpenAI, using its APIs to build products, tools, and experiences for Disney Plus, deploying ChatGPT to all its employees. Part of the agreement, Disney will make $1 billion equity investment into OpenAI and receive warrants to purchase additional equity. Wow. So that is that's a pretty big.
That's a big, that's a partnership.
Yes, that is a partnership.
You piqued my interest with the Disney Plus thing. Okay, is this fan created fiction, non-canon? You know how it gets with Star Wars stuff. And by the way, was Lucas part of this Star Wars or no?
Star Wars is part of Star Wars.
It is, yeah. And you mentioned Marvel and stuff, so I wasn't sure. You mixed Pixar, so I wasn't sure if Star Wars was somehow
Disney, Marvel, Pixar, Star Wars.
So we know people write canon and non-canon versions of books all the time and create fan fiction, the Star Wars universe that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with known or loved characters. It's just more about it will exist in the world of, Star Wars or whatever. So you piqued my interest with this now, because is Disney looking at this as, hey, if people want to create this stuff and we can throw it up basically for free on Disney Plus and create net new content at volume, who are we to say don't use our content? Right?
Now imagine it becomes Disney Plus subscription on your AI TV, so you can talk to your TV.
Wow, yeah.
And then we're approximating where you can actually develop your own series and your own, library of shows that you work with family members to do. And I can imagine you in the car now talking to Disney Plus to develop the new storyline that you're going to see when you arrive back at home.
I think how many times you're like, oh, I wish I saw this, or I wish the story went in this direction. And people can do that, but not everybody can do that. But now you can do that, right? It'll be, I think, okay, there'll be some weird stuff and there'll be some really terrible use. But I also think there'll be some really creative people, and you're like, that's pretty cool. This, I think, is a new brand of creators. I don't know if they're going to segment this to be like Disney Plus, like a section of AI user generated whatever.
Yeah, basically Sora, right? Inside of Disney Plus. Yeah.
But you can remember that, Sora is not X, right? Sora has guardrails. Yeah, I don't think you can do all the nasty things you want to with Sora.
I think the last thing I want to just mention is that all of us will probably find some sort of creator, or there will be amazing creators of new they'll be really, really good at it. And I feel I think they should get compensated for imagine creating an hour long. Those people will spend that hours to create these short films of really cool, well thought out stories. And I'm just it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. So, yes. And the idea that you created a really great idea 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you had the IP, you created the characters, you did the whole thing. It is your canon, and you're going to sell that to the company because you have a deal for 5 screenplays or whatever that is. Now you've sold, because nobody else is going to do the thing, right? That's how these things got formed. Now everybody with $20 in a subscription, right? That is a very different thing, because there are people who feel very strongly attached to the canon that they created, that they lived with in their head while they were writing it for a really long time. I think we're going to see some fights about you have the IP, but you don't have the right to make them choose that path.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, Carl, that was a really interesting conversation, and really au courant in the sense that it just came out today, right? So here we are talking about something, but really exciting news And I'm glad that I am involved with this show so that I could be a part of understanding that early on as it's merging.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, where are we as far as I got a couple other things I know. Does any of you see the McDonald's ad? Did we talk about that already? That people are disappointed with? It was an AI generated McDonald's ad. I have not seen the ad.
I haven't seen it. Did they pull it down? I thought they took it down.
Right. I tell you, oh, this is a good question. All right, I tell you what. Does somebody else have another news story? And while you're doing that, I will go see if I can find the news anchor.
Yeah, I think that we have to talk about something that's really a buzz across most of the newsletters, which is the OpenAI study of 37 million chats, analyzing, what is actually talked about and doing so with privacy, like there was no user identifiable information in the data that they aggregated this way. And so here's some takeaways on their analysis of what consumers using ChatGPT are doing with it, right? Health questions topped every category of time of day, every device, every hour, all of that. It's wellness tracking, it exceeds the activity that is one of the other primary uses of AI models, which is coding. And then there was this interesting variation across the hours of the day, which was at 2 a.m., people asked about philosophy, right? And during work hours, they planned their travel. And weekdays meant programming and weekends meant gaming. So all these different subjects of conversation have a time relationship across the hours of the clock. And other findings, top 5 uses of Copilot from Microsoft were searching, advice, creating, learning, and technical support. Desktop users of OpenAI's tools through Microsoft explored 20 different topic combinations, while mobile users were more limited, around half that number. And so anyway, there's some interesting data there, and a lot of the newsletters are talking about that OpenAI Microsoft study.
Okay. I didn't hear what Andy said, but I'm sure it was amazing because I was looking at the McDonald's one. So I'm going to pull that up really quick because we can at least show a little bit from the New York Post, even though you're right, Carl, it was pulled down. So they still show enough of it, again, that we can kind of get a gist of it. And this is explaining a little bit why. Let's just double check the volume here. Can you guys can you hear that? Yeah. Okay. Let's just watch. I'll pull it up a little bit bigger. I have it turned up, and let's just listen to a little bit of how the New York Post explains the issues.
In the video, AI generated people are constantly.
Nope.
It's because here. Let me see if I can go to a lower. Give me one sec. Quality. Let's say we go down to 360.
So the discussion that I saw on X was that they turned off the comments. So now you're saying that they pulled it down. Turning off the comments wasn't enough.
Yes, it was pulled down. That is part of this news story. Although it would have been great if it would have streamed. I think it's because I'm streaming on 1080p, and then when I try to share a screen, it makes life even harder. So I might have to drop down to 720 in the future. But hold on, let me stop sharing here so I can stop doing that resource. The gist that I got was that it people universally hated it, but what I was trying to get to was, did they hate it because it was AI, or they just didn't like the idea of the commercial? And I'm getting the impression they're saying it's AI generated backlash, but what I'm trying to get to is or do people just not like the idea of this Netherlands commercial? Presidents are getting knocked at the machines. Customers advised to escape the festive madness and hide out in a McDonald's till January is here. The humorous take on the festive period did not go down well with some social media users, some of who denounced the use of AI to create it. Some called it unsettling. Some said it was creepy, poorly edited, inauthentic content. All right. I'm not sure. I was just curious because sometimes AI gets swapped, brought into conversations that aren't always about AI. Was it an AI commercial and people are like, you're trying to pass that off as real and it's obviously AI and you're not telling us, which we know is that whole uncanny valley. And Coke kind of got around that by not trying to make realistic looking animals in their Coca-Cola one? Or was it like, and that's what people are upset about, which there seems to be some to that. Or is it like people just didn't like the commercial, but it also happens to be AI, and so people are denouncing it, but maybe it's not so much about the AI as they simply like the concept.
I think that they announced. I don't think they tried to hide that it was made with AI. What I'm seeing on X is the company saying AI didn't make this film. We did. The studio behind it says they hardly slept for several weeks. They wrote all the AI prompts and then refined the shots. And then that piece that I said, which is the comments have been turned off on YouTube. So clearly that was part of the evolving story.
Yeah, it's like, are people jumping on bandwagons here? I mean, I do see another X user, Bobby Stapleton, said nobody wants negative vibes around Christmas. They want to enjoy Christmas. And that might be more of the reason is like that. And that might have nothing to do with, by the way, the people who created the AI who didn't sleep for several weeks as they did it. They were probably handed a storyline from somebody, a creative agency or otherwise that McDonald's works with. And this is what they had to work on. And somebody thought, hey, this is going to be a funny idea. It's the negativity and things going wrong. And it just didn't land. But then, oh my God, if it's AI, then, like we have even more problems with it. And then the internet gets involved. I don't know. I sound like I'm defending it. I'm not. I didn't see the commercial. So if it's just a bad commercial, it's a bad commercial. But
it's December 11th, right? Like it's too soon to say it's the holidays are going to be insane. You should just hang out in a McDonald's until January. That's 20 days away. Thank you, people.
Yeah.
Too soon.
And also, like, it went out in the Netherlands. I am sure I do not get all the intricacies of Netherlands humor. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure I don't. I've seen commercials from other places that don't hit for me, and they're wildly popular and successful. And like, I don't get it. Well, I don't live there either. So like, I'm sure there's a bit of that too. But internet gets a hold of something.
There is a lot of snow in this commercial. So, yes, definitely a snowy location. Okay.
Anyway, that I was curious because I did see that come up. Okay, we lost Carl left, but I did want to bring up Andy, you didn't mention about MCP, right? Yesterday when you and Jimmy did the show, I saw that you guys talked about the Linux and Foundation, and you talked about the OpenAI side of it. But it sounds like the very next day is when Anthropic put out a article. I think it came out yesterday talking about how they have given over the rights to MCP to that same Linux Foundation, which is to say,
that's right. There were three different sort of contributions. MCP leading the list, Goose from Block,
yes,
and then OpenAI threw in this idea of, use this type of MD file, markdown file, to instruct agents who arrive at your site.
Okay.
All right.
I find it really interesting because I don't know about you guys, how much, if Carl's still here too. But
he's coming back. He had to drop his daughter off to school and he's coming back.
Oh, okay. Well, when he comes back, we can ask him this too. And if we have more news, we could certainly pause on this. But anyway, my question to you guys that I wanted to come in today with was, how much are you currently building with some MCP in there, right? I have certainly dabbled. I have certainly gone into it. I will tell you this, and I'm not the expert here, but the 2 or 3 times I have poked into it, admittedly, probably a little too long ago, I probably need to circle back here. And as we finish the year, there was just too many inconsistencies with it. And it really wasn't making my job easier building agent workflows, AI workflows for my clients. And so I admittedly have not really jumped into it. Now, if I had a client who was like, I want to connect and I want to do all these amazing things with like a Google Calendar, and that needs to be part of the solution set, I think I would inevitably be like, oh, that sounds like an MCP server. But, as I was looking this up, I mean, there's now like 10,000 active public MCP servers and millions of monthly downloads for things that have been enabled with MCP enabled AI applications and things like that. So just curious, like, am I the exception here? Are you guys building with MCP more? and I'm just behind, or I'm just curious.
Well, Carl has demonstrated use of MCP within Claude Code Cursor. And so he's invoking MCP as one of the tools that an application built inside Cursor can access. I think MCP is really useful in the context of the tools agent that you have within N8N. So if you're doing automations, and I'm not, that's not the focus of what I'm building. So, but if you were using N8N on a routine basis, I think you would probably answer, yes, I'm using MCP now, because they have a native kind of access and integration with MCP servers. You can search for them and so on. But I'm like you, Brian. It hasn't risen yet to the point where I have a specific function I want to call, and I'm searching through the MCP library basically to find somebody who's already built that kind of data access or process that I want to call.
But when Carl was talking about MCP, he was bringing up something which is one of the reasons that I also haven't done a real deep dive toward it. It hasn't been a thing that I needed to do necessarily, but anybody can build an MCP server, right? Like, you are exposing things, they are exposing things, and I think one of the things that Carl showcased was like a company that had, like, you can trust these MCPs, but you have to subscribe to the company. The company is doing the due diligence to do all of that. And like, AI can write code and you can get an API. I have not come to a place where that is not a good enough solution for me. Now, I am not trying to show other people how to use a command line interface and run something.
Right.
I'm doing it for my work so that then I can create something for a client. But so I don't need to worry about an interface. I'm good with the command line.
Yeah.
So MCP, I'm interested to see what happens with this, because it's the Linux foundation, right? Like, it's founded in Linux, which sort of it's all open source, right? Mm-hmm. So it's as dangerous as open source, which actually has a ton of eyeballs on it, means it's actually a little less dangerous, not as interesting to do that, because there are a bunch of people who are like, nope, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody's eyes are on it the whole time. So,
it brings up a bigger point, I think, for me, exactly what you guys are saying. And I just was talking about this with coworkers. So, we're growing it scaled. I had just done sort of a retrospective, put out a post on LinkedIn talking about the AI work I did in 2025. One of the reasons that came up is I literally had people, as we're growing, you end up becoming roadblocks where you don't mean to become roadblocks within an organization. It happens all the time. But like, the creative control and all that of AI can't start and end with me at scaled. We can't literally scale, pun intended. So that's been something we've been working towards, right? Is like, you can't all flow through Brian's desk. Number one, I literally can't handle the volume. So there's that, right? And then things get dropped or whatever. But anyway, my point to this was, we now at any time have, I don't know, probably a dozen or more active N8N servers and systems going on, individual to clients. Mm-hmm. And I was talking about this as, we grow just at scale. I'm sure other people feel this way too, that are consulting agencies or just internally. As we grow, it becomes more and more complex. I will go into N8N and one of them, it'll say critical update. I'm like, okay, that just says to me, I have 13 critical updates to make across 13 active clients, right? And I'm like, geez, okay. And then another one we ran into, and we were running up into OpenAI limits. For one client, we isolated and did the things we needed to figure out API costs. We're running it through 5 mini. And it was, after it ran for 3 days straight, it cost $65 in API costs, which we would all agree is a absurd high number, right? Like, you just don't usually see $65 3-day costs or whatever. And what it came down to was the web searches that were part of it, not Mini's price, but the web searches, right? Okay, go off and do that, whatever. And so anyway, my whole point to this is, I am definitely in this mode right now as I come to 2025 and go, oh, we have to fundamentally think differently about consulting, because with AI, not only is AI evolving, These systems are evolving. Security is evolving. We've got many hands and many cookie jars now. And now what we need more than anything else is a system so that internally we can keep order across chaos.
Yes.
And AI is inherently chaos by itself. Even if you have order, it's still chaos, right? So you cannot have a chaotic system managing AI. Something's got to give. We know the AI is going to evolve and leap and bound, and that is going to affect. I can't tell you how many custom GPTs of mine got ruined by 5. Ruined. Because it would leap over its logic on how it did things. Now, 5.1 made it slightly better, but when I tell you it caused issues. And these are clients that we done and dusted 4 or 5 months ago, but they're still using our solutions, rightfully so. Who do they come back to and go, it doesn't work as good as yesterday? Now, we don't have a current contract with them. So now you've got to figure out like, well, where's obligations? Where do you feel, because we delivered, but now it's out of date or it's presenting to be maybe a little out of date or whatever. I'll give you another one, just sort of on my soapbox here. Freaking Perplexity. Sonar Pro inside the APIs is fine, right? It keeps running the way it is. Sonar and Sonar Pro, no issues with it. Perplexity for the conundrums. I always use it to do my deep research on both sides of the conundrum. It's coming back with these half-baked answers. What I loved about Perplexity is that it did not try to answer in 30 seconds. It would say, we'll let you know in 2 to 3 minutes when we've done a deep research of this. Now it seems to be fully leaning towards speed, but not speed where we kept the same level of research, just speed and half-baked answers to the point where it's no longer giving me, if I don't like get on its case like a little kid, it's giving me reduced answers, which down the line means that Google Notebook LM does not have the data to then create a great conundrum episode that goes out on Saturday. I literally was dealing with this last night, frustrating the ever-loving hell out of me because I was like, Perplexity used to do a phenomenal job of this. I would turn on the deep research and away we go. And I would get this great thing. And now I have to beg it to do the extra work. I have to beg it to say, please take 2 to 3 minutes to look into this because you're giving me surface level stuff. I know there's a lot. I threw a lot out there. Sorry, I'm just kind of venting. But it just, as I'm finishing 2025, this is the shit that keeps me going in my head. And it's like, how do you do this in 2026? If I triple in volume of the AI work we're doing at scale to 2026, how do you solve for this?
All right. Well, Carl is back and apparently ready to sit in as the expert of how you do this and scale in 2026.
I was just saying, Carl probably didn't hear anything I literally said, so let's not put him on the spot. But
well, I'm doing that also because Gwen in the chat said ongoing maintenance contract, and I know that that's something that Carl has talked about. Well, implementing solutions for
we have it
time, right?
Yeah, we have ongoing maintenance and ongoing dirt. I get it, but
that client was like, "Oh, we're good," apparently. So
yeah, they number one, not every client does that, even though that's what you try. You always try to set that up, right? We always try to set up for 12-month. I mean, we're going to we want to be building AI solutions. We want to land and expand like any consulting agency would like to. Hey, let me solve these quick 3 problems for you and then solve the next 40 going on. And you're absolutely right. The ongoing maintenance contracts and stuff like that, but not all clients agree to that.
No.
And that does not stop them from coming back and saying the thing you built me now feels lesser.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. And to your foundational point, how do you keep control of an uncontrollable, ever evolving thing, right? How do you deliver value?
And what I would add to that is this is not like you had Windows 7 and I sold you Windows 7 and now we're on Windows 11, right?
Yeah.
And then you come back to me and say, I come back to you, Beth, you sold me 7 and I go, hey, our 7 kind of sucks next to what we can see as 11. You go, I delivered 7 3 years ago to you. Because here's my theory on this. So you guys tell me what you think. Because AI is such a deeply personal and human level experience, people do not associate it the same way. I know this to be true. Carl, tell me if you feel the same. But clients do not associate a 6-month-old custom GPT working a little less good than it used to, for lack of a better term, as they would a Windows 7 to 11. Because they're deeply personally working with this AI assistant. It's as if I built them an AI coworker 6 months ago, and because of updates that are beyond my control, this coworker isn't as fun. It's not fun Bobby anymore. And you go, I don't know. I kind of feel like whatever. And like, it's kind of like, I feel like it comes back on us, even though that was bound to happen. No? Yeah.
It so depends on what you've done with the client. Like when we initially we kind of did that, but we were finding is people would use it like regular software. So it's like, if you do something, simple example, let's take the custom GPT example. You do something and it's like, hey, it's broken. I don't know. The broken means all sorts of things.
Right.
I think though what I've learned is like, I've kind of failed in my job or what we're doing if I haven't taught this company how to problem solve using AI. Because if I have someone just sending me an email or a Slack message or a Teams message, hey, Carl, the output is this. Because this was not even a custom Jew, it's just a prompt we built together. It works reliably for something. And what came back was, you know how it randomly, sometimes it comes back with really weird stuff. So this time it came back with like Chinese characters, lines and lines of it.
Been there.
They screenshotted, they send me, hey, it's not working anymore. And I was like, you just regenerate. Oh, it works now. It's like, I have failed in what I'm doing if that is the case, because what's happening is I haven't taught you anything. What I've taught you is to copy, paste, execute. That's not the whole point of this whole thing. So I think we've kind of rejigged how we're doing things. We still build, but our emphasis is like, hey, I need you to learn how to use these across the board, not just with the tool that your company has decided to purchase.
Right.
But even that, we're telling companies, don't purchase one tool, purchase lots of tools in multiple ways. So you can see now we're getting clients to have like, okay, so finance team, you're using Claude, Excel plugins. That's because they love that stuff. While marketing teams, they love Gemini. While other teams, admin teams, because they do a lot of in email and going back through emails and calendars, they love Microsoft Copilot. So you have actual companies now have these tools, but it fits them into what they do. And it isn't one big tool that you kind of have to kind of tailor your use case in. So that's what we're moving into. And the biggest piece, and I've written about this too, I've done videos about this. The biggest thing that people are seeing is not pilots, it's literal workshops. So we sit there with them 2 hours and we go use case by use case. We bring it up on screen and they're understanding, they're getting taught while we're doing individual work cases. And that is so much more useful to them. That actually improves sustainable adoption rather than we come back a couple months later and the pilot's not being used or whatever's not being used. That has more sustainability we're seeing. So we still do the pilot stuff, but the process now is base training. If they require it, workshops, every single department, then pilots at the same time, which then we've taken this company on a journey from everyone gets trained, not necessarily for their job. Then they use AI for their job. Then there's also extra pilots there. So you have like a comprehensive piece, and it's more for the business rather than individual pieces, which we've done in the past.
Yep.
Makes sense.
That's what I'm seeing too. And being able to have do the education part around their use cases, but not having to create content for that right now. Let's just have conversations about what's possible and then move into training that is relevant to your use case. Because people are experts in what they do.
Thoughts, Indy? Anything?
It
is that. Just want to make sure, like, Andy hadn't said anything on this. I just want to start before we wrapped up. Any last thoughts on this, or Carl?
Yeah, I'll just say this is something we talked about in response to a post that a former colleague of mine, Todd Sacherdotty, made about this migration from deterministic software, where SaaS systems actually produce reliable, repetitive outputs. Like they militarize the outcomes and regularize the workflows, to probabilistic assistants who have wider capabilities, but also have the ability to, like humans, make mistakes and fall out of alignment with the routine that you originally programmed them to do. And that's what we're talking about. There's a positive and a negative side to it. And I think you're frustrated, Brian, rightly so, when changes in the models themselves are pushed. And then because of this probabilistic nature of the outcomes and modifications that they're making to those probabilistic systems, they create uncertainties and create breakages for us.
Yeah. And remember, at least for custom GPTs, I can no longer force the end user's model selection. So for anybody thinking like, well, just make recommendations. Yes, I can make recommendations it'll say the builder suggests 4.1, right? And there is some workaround to that. But if you're in your custom GPT and your Teams account and you've got your settings and your memory set up and you're defaulted to 5.1, hey, you're just gonna use that custom GPT with the new model. It's not even gonna occur to you. Why would it?
Right. And if you've seen that message, I used it. It said the builder suggests this, but the first 2 times I used it, it was great. I'm no longer seeing that message at the time where I use it, and it's not great. And it can't be that, right? Gotta be something else because the first 2 times worked.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
One thing that I wanted to mention to you, did you know, and I think this is being built, custom GPTs will be able to use connectors.
Yes.
I've heard about it. I'm waiting for that day because I think that we're missing some really clear. While you were going, Carl, we talked a little bit MCPs and stuff, but yes, I think that is clearly what OpenAI said they want to do in terms of the ecosystem they want to build and what the 2026, 2027 version of ChatGPT will actually look like, which is different, much different. That's their words, not mine. And so, yeah, I'm fully on board for that, because that is going to open up that's going to bring what we would call an assistant at scale. These names are all different everywhere, but I always say an assistant to me is a copilot, a custom GPT, a gem, right? It's not really about API or whatever. It's about a singular thing that it does very, very well, reliably, even though we're talking about when it breaks. But most of the time it's very reliable. And then, agents or anything that's like built in an end and make a Zapier where there's, AI enhancement of data, pushing and pulling from different APIs, right? Gong to Apollo to Clay to whatever in the sales world. But there is a lot of middle ground there of where I think the solution for teams who already have ChatGPT for Business would be something that's agent-like, but still fully supported by what we would currently call custom GPTs. And they may stop calling them that. They may call them something different. Our luck, they'll call them agents and just steer it.
So is the Carl, is the announcement from OpenAI about custom GPT connections, is that meaning that you can chain individual custom GPTs and so the output of one gets passed to the next one? and basically we know we can call another custom GPT in conversation, but now you can kind of programmatically create a workflow out of multiple custom GPTs.
So I'll put it up on screen. So this Tibor and testing catalog are usually one of the very first people or posters that show like the very latest in whatever is coming. So he was talking about this a couple days ago, where it's like, because he's I don't know how they do it, but they get like unshown features. So they're like this kind of stuff. It's like choose which apps can use, bang, 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 bang. And the thing is, though, okay, and we're working with businesses too, because it's interesting because you have connectors and then you have apps. And sometimes you have the same connector and the same app, right? So Asana would be one, Asana connector, Asana app. And you're like, okay, I'm going to use the Asana connector. Oh, I'm going to use the Asana app. Because yesterday, right, Adobe is now on ChatGPT. And enough, I don't need the subscription for it. I can just use it whenever I want. Which I was like, isn't Adobe losing money out of this? Because I'm not going to buy Acrobat. I like Acrobat because I do a lot of PDF stuff. But why would I buy Acrobat when I can just use ChatGPT to essentially do it? And
nobody wants to buy Adobe.
No,
right?
Terrible. I don't want to do it. I just buying that. Pull this up there. Express is on there. And I was like,
Quote of the day. Quote of the day goes to Beth.
no money.
Okay, back to my question. What you showed on the screen was apps are the tools that you can access using the custom GPT. They're connectors like in other platforms, Google Drive, Gmail, etc. So it's not that you can call another GPT in a defined programmatic way. It's just that you can connect to other tools, both custom GPT and using a function call.
But you can call other apps GPTs, right? Because all you do is at whatever.
That is to happen in the chat.
You have to, that is happening.
That is to happen in the chat. I'm just wondering if custom GPTs ultimately arrive at something like workspace.google.com is describing, which gives you a way of connecting gems. Sequentially. So this gem does this, and I've designed it to do this process step alone. And now, as soon as that gem is done, I want it to pass that over to this other gem that I've designed carefully.
I can imagine that would be a roadmap thing. That's kind of the mixed sense.
It's coming. I just thought you were saying it was just released.
No, it's just interesting because custom GPTs couldn't do it. Like they couldn't really connect anything unless you used action, but that takes so long.
So it's upper hard.
But also, if you look at what was posted, it says choose the connectors that you want to expose to this custom GPT, or they're all exposed.
Yeah.
Right? We have 15 now, maybe, but they're wanting more.
Apps are
right? Yeah.
Apps are apps are connectors.
I thought they were the same. So
no. So
we have
that's the confusion.
What is Zillow? Is Zillow an app or
it's an app? Yes, it's an app.
Okay.
But Asana is both an app and a connector. That's what makes this kind of confusing.
But the Tiber's post says it will gain the capability to use apps in parentheses connectors.
I was like, oh my god, I don't know why. I was like, oh my goodness.
I know. And that is a depressing note. Let's unless anybody decides anything on this one, we're going to wrap it up for today. But we can go back to this tomorrow. Hey, listen, this is the great thing about having a live show 5 days a week. We don't have to wait a week to keep talking about this. We can get more clarity, see if anything else comes on, and we will be right back tomorrow on this topic. It's a good one. And I'll say, Andy, I'm biting my tongue because I think tomorrow I would like to talk more about the gem and the workspace and what that means, because we have clients currently through our CEO, Jake, who talks to everybody, does the sales side of things, that are basically what maybe using the words or not using the words, asking for AI coworkers. And what would we define a coworker as? Probably a series of gems that can talk and communicate with each other. What does that sound like? Oh, that sounds like A to A working with MCP. So there's a whole thing here that makes total sense, and very well could be my job in 2026. Very well may be building these GPTs with apps and connectors and Gemini and Google Workspace and building out gems to gems a la the digital AI coworker. So much more on this side. Okay.
I have a quick tiny weave off that in A to A because the announcement that just came was Anthropic, Block, and OpenAI, but Google donated A to A as a framework that could be used by that same organization this summer. So Google's also involved. There's a lot of other companies involved. There's wealthiest countries. That's true. But I just wanted to point that out because we got a lot of play on those three companies, but there were others who were also supporting.
Yep, 100%. Okay, listen, we'll wrap it up real quick. Have a wonderful day. Thank you to everybody hanging out in the comments. We appreciate you greatly. Thanks to Beth, Carl, and Andy. I'm Brian. Some of us will be back tomorrow. We'll see who's on the show for the Friday edition, and then all next week as well. And then right through the holidays, you could expect the Daily I Show to come to you every weekday, Monday through Friday, at 10 a.m. Eastern. Don't forget about the Conundrum episode that's going to go out on Saturday morning and the newsletter that's going to go out on Sunday morning. So that's what we have coming up over the next 3 days. Much more to talk about. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.